Good evening and a very warm welcome to India Matters on Monday night. AI 171, the Air India crash still occupies all our minds, doesn't it? And it's going to stay there for a while. But tonight, as the big committee investigating this air crash kicks off its very difficult and complicated work, I wanted to focus on one aspect that has truly outraged so many of us, and I'm sure it will outrage you as well. Friends, this isn't an emotional message tonight. It's one of cold, growing anger. I don't know if that's the word for it because there's no real room for emotion in this business. But what we're watching unfold in the aftermath of the AI 171 air crash tragedy is not just tragic, it's calculated. Yes, pilot error is always a possibility in an air crash. It happens. Even the best, most experienced aviators have made errors. But what we're calling out tonight on India Matters is the very visible, very organized, and frankly devious attempt to quietly push the pilot error narrative into the bloodstream of public perception more than any of the other possible theories for this terrible tragedy. Subtly, systematically, and to great effect. Once again, I tell you, this is said without emotion, and I will demonstrate it tonight. The late Captain Sumeet Sabharwal is at the center of this, a pilot with a spotless record, impeccable skill, and the respect of all of his peers. And yet, within hours of the crash last week, the whispering began, online, offline, by so-called experts, even foreign TikTok aviators with zero access to actual facts, dropping breadcrumbs of blame at the cockpit door. Now, let's be very clear. We're not defending emotions. We are defending fairness and justice. What we object to tonight is the chillingly familiar pattern, one we've seen before. Put the spotlight squarely on the pilots, suggest pilot error, suggest human error early, shape the narrative, prime the public mood, and in doing so, steer the investigation away from deeper, structural, systemic, or corporate questions. And it's working. The noise grows around the pilots. Everyone says, oh, pilot error. Meanwhile, silence deepens around the aircraft, the maintenance, the regulatory lapses, the airline safety culture. The blame shifts from billion-dollar systems to a human being who can no longer speak for himself because he is no longer alive. Everyone we've spoken to who flew with Captain Sumeet, colleagues, crew, commanders say the same thing. There is no way he could have made a mistake. Pilot error is not even possible. But even if, for argument's sake, he did, the question is why that is the only theory being whispered louder than the rest. That is my objection tonight. Because when you manufacture perception, even before an investigation has taken place, you manufacture pressure. And when you manufacture pressure, you shape accountability, conveniently, selectively, cynically, and quietly. So tonight, we ask the question others simply don't have the heart to do. Who gains from this? Who profits from blame when humans are blamed, but responsibility isn't? It's time we expose this campaign and trace it to its authors. Captain Sumeet Sabharwal was in his mid-50s. We are told that he was planning to retire in just a few months to take care of his aging father, over 90 years old, in Mumbai. A thorough professional, beloved of anyone who ever crossed his path, always courteous to passengers, and someone who simply loved flying and enjoyed a spotless track record. This is a farewell to Captain Sumeet.
The tragic clash of Air India Flight 171 in Ahmedabad has sent shockwaves across the globe. A flight meant to land safely in London became the site of heartbreak, leaving behind a trail of shattered dreams and grieving families. Among the victims was Captain Sumeet Sabharwal, a name that resonated with excellence in aviation. A senior Air India pilot with nearly 30 years of experience, He had flown across continents, clocking over 8,000 hours in the skies. Known for his rigorous pre-flight checks and unwavering focus on safety, Captain Sabharwal was respected by his peers. Captain Sumit Sabharwal had recently promised his 80-year-old ailing father, a former senior official in India's aviation regulatory body, that he would soon retire and return home. That promise now echoes a painful memory. Families who were expecting calls from Heathrow were instead confronted with news of the devastating crash. Moments before disaster struck, Captain Sabharwal made a distress call to the Ahmedabad ATC. His last radio transmission was chilling. A single word, Mayday, which means a full emergency. After that, silence. Communication ceased. This is not just the story of one pilot. It is the story of countless parents whose children are their lifelines. Of families who wait for safe landings, of promises never kept, of farewells never said. As investigations continue, one thing is certain. The sudden demise of Captain Sumit Sabharwal has left behind a void that can never be filled. Our thoughts remain with the families who've lost their loved ones in the Air India 171 tragedy. Bureau Report, NDTV.
Now remember that nowhere are we saying that pilot error is simply impossible. Pilot error as a theory is always a possibility, but it isn't the only possibility is what we're saying. And there appears to be a clear but very cleverly subtle attempt to push this narrative above all else. And there are very good reasons for this, and I'm about to explain it, because quite simply, it helps divert from possible action against bigger fish and plants thoughts in people's heads. You probably were already thinking about pilot error these last few days. Number one, pinning the crash on the pilots beyond just a theory, among others, helps deflect scrutiny from the airline's operational practices, including maintenance, possible shortcuts, crew fatigue policies, ground assistance, cost cutting on safety. Number two, suggesting pilot error as more than just a theory avoids implicating potential design flaws or systemic issues in the aircraft itself, which could trigger massive financial and legal consequences for the manufacturer. Number three, by focusing blame on individuals in the cockpit even before an investigation, aviation regulators could potentially escape questions about oversight, lapses ignored, red flags, or possible complicity in allowing unsafe practices. Number four, a technical or structural fault would require grounding and inspecting similar aircraft worldwide, causing disruptions and billions of dollars in losses, something all stakeholders want to avoid. And number five, framing the crash as an isolated human error reassures passengers and avoids a crisis of confidence in the broader aviation ecosystem, which depends heavily on perceived reliability and trust. So that's the reason why we say tonight that the pilot error theory could be pushed by vested interests, because these are the elements and entities that stand to gain. They do exist. And tonight, since we're putting the spotlight on the crew, the pilots of Flight 171 that crashed last Thursday, Captain Sumit Sabharwal was the pilot in command, and we're joined by two people who knew him personally, but are also thorough professionals in their own rights, because they are aviators, they have been in the industry, they have flown, and they know Captain Sabharwal not just personally, but also professionally. Welcoming Sanjay Lazar, aviation expert who knew Captain Sabharwal very well. He also knew two other members of the crew, Aparna and Shraddha. And also with us is Manmath Rautre, who used to fly with Air India through his entire career and had in fact trained under Captain Sumit Sabharwal. We're going to try and keep this conversation professional, not emotional, even though there are so many emotions in this story. Manmath Rautre, I'd like to start with you by asking you to remember Captain Sumeet on a day when we put the spotlight on him after 3 days of this whole pilot error theory being pushed above all else.
First thing is, when we heard about this accident, we didn't. I was looking for who are the captains. Were they my batchmates or one of my juniors or somebody went? But then some all kind of reports came in that the aircrafts, different kind of reports from different media. The data was all here and there. So then we thought, for a while we thought it could be a pilot error. So the data, the way the data were coming in. But then when I heard Captain Sumit Savarwal's name, then I was taken back. Not this guy. This guy has been a very polished guy. This guy has been one of the most patient person you can ever see in a cockpit. And we have something called crew resource management.
Yeah.
The gradient between a first officer and a commander. The shallower it is, the better performance it is. And he was one of the pioneers in those things. And by the book, he had everything in notes. He kept studying. He was so updated. You could make out from his personality that you're in safe hands. So what a gem of a person, and very grounded, very 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 down to earth. So such kind of person, and you can just believe him. You cannot expect a mistake from him. That kind of command aura he commanded. So any pilot error from him, no ways. And I was really upset when I heard him. I've been emotionally involved. I've flown under him as a first officer. I've learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
Then on, when I transitioned to commander last 10 years, we always met. We have operated 2 command operations to all over the world. I don't know how many destinations we must have landed up and enjoyed and come back. Great senior, great colleague, great things to learn from him. And I always knew that till his last second, he will follow the procedure. He will do the standard operating procedure. What he's taught us, he's going to follow it. And from the video, I'm 100% sure, I have no doubt in my mind that he did try to mitigate all his problems. The problems which he ended up, anybody like me, anybody who's got so much of experience and who doesn't have thrust at 600 feet would do the same. What he was taught, what he taught, he did it till the last second. He was flying the aircraft. He did try to save as many as possible, but it wasn't his day, and the situation was really bad.
Incredible. I feel how upset you are that this whole pilot error narrative has been pushed so conspicuously. Sanjay Lazar, welcome. Good to have you on the show. And I know that you have expressed your surprise and anger over this pilot error narrative being pushed by, YouTubers and TikTokers and sundry experts from different parts of the world, no matter how qualified they may be. Before I come to you, Sanjay, I want to tell our viewers that Sanjay Lazar is not just any old aviation expert or someone who has spent his life working at Air India. He is someone who actually lost his entire family, if you permit me to share that with our viewers, Sanjay. He lost his entire family in the 1985 Kanishka bombing. The Air India Kanishka bombing is where Sanjay lost his parents and family. So he knows a thing or two about loss and the unfairness of what can happen in the air. Sanjay, pilot error being pushed, do you see some kind of pattern and some kind of design in trying to push that narrative?
Absolutely. Thank you, Shiv, for having me on your show. It's a very sad day, as we know that the funeral of Captain Sabarwal is probably going on right now, or just completed in Powai. I knew him well. To recap, not only did I lose my entire family in the Kanishka, but as the General Secretary of the Cabin Crew Association, for 25 years, we were first on scene in Mangalore, we were first on scene in Kozhikode. We've seen at least 4 crashes in the last 40 years. So death is not a stranger to me.
Yeah.
And I've seen sadness and pain. I've also seen, how people rush to cover it up by blaming it on people who are no longer there to defend themselves. In this case, the pilots. The very first day I appeared on your channel with Vishnu, and I remember this same video. And I said, according to me, it seemed like dual engine error. failure and catastrophic failure. We saw a lot of people trying to put a lot of things. I was on a show with Captain Rotre when this foreigner captain was on also, and both of us countered him. It's amazing the way people in Boeing uniforms are all over the world are running to paint this as a pilot error. This guy, I've known him from the Airbus 310 days, by the way. The Airbus 310 I'm talking about, 90s. It came in, when I joined in the 80s, it was there. So I've seen Captain Sabharwal from those days. He is not a gentleman. He was a gentleman. He was such a sensitive, simple soul and never harmed anybody to the T. Like Captain Rothray said, absolutely followed every rule to the T.
Yeah.
And absolutely, did everything by the book. So you would never find, anything amiss.
Yeah.
And here we were seeing on day 2, the people were running to talk about flaps and landing gear mistakes and all this nonsense. And these were 2 pilots who had 10,000 hours between them. They're not, auto rickshaw guys who climbed into the aircraft yesterday.
Yeah.
You've got to give some respect. He's trained in one of the most premier institutions in the country. He's come here. Not only has he been a seasoned commander, he's a trainer himself. And this is not how we do it. I don't want to, go in and rip apart those people, but it was disgusting and I was feeling sickening. I walked off, one show and then I just said I had to tweet it. You saw, I've just vented because it was just so disgusting that at least let the investigation come to bear. There's another point I wanted to make which nobody else raised. And I pointed this out to Vishnu on day 1 because I had information. ACARS, the ACARS system, apart from relaying information, also has remote engineering capability.
Yeah.
And Air India has that. And it is my personal knowledge or information or belief that it did indicate disruption in engines.
Okay.
This is on day 1, but it was
Sanjay, I'll come back to that point. I'll come back to the ACARS point if we have time. With your permission, I want to pack as much in as I possibly can.
Yes, please.
Mr. Captain Rautre, this special narrative that Sanjay Lazar is talking about to push this pilot error suggestions, I'm sure that must have upset you.
Being a pilot, we've been taught that learn from others' mistake. Never make a mistake. Don't make your mistake. Learn from others' mistake. And in case you made a mistake, you should know what mistake you did and when. And otherwise, you'll never improve as a pilot. So if there is a 1% chance, if there's somebody saying that there's a pilot error, then accept it. We're not going to. We are all humans. No matter how perfect we are, we can make a mistake. But as a personality, as a person, we always knew Captain Sabharwal is one of the best in Air India, at least. I don't know about the other airlines. I've only worked in Air India from my first day to the last day till I resigned. So I knew even if he had made a mistake, he knew how to get out of it. The profile the aircraft was in, the initial videos were all blurred. We tried to zoom in and check whether the flaps are out. We tried to check the landing gears. Later on, when we started checking more clearly, more heads, more brains started working. You could see now we could see the tires are in a different tilt angle.
Yeah.
So which is not normal. In normal system working, the tilt angles are different. And if you try to retract the landing gear, the front wheels will be in a different tilt angle. So now they did. So now we come to know that they've done their procedures. So initially, when we thought there are 10-20% chances human error, there are more 30-40 chances that both the engines fail, because see, these kind of exercises we do practice. We've been practicing in the simulators.
Yeah.
We're practicing at 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet, both engines out. How do we manage? What do we do? What are the procedures? But not at 600 feet, definitely. But in case we are in 600 feet also, we know how to get out of it. I'm not saying it's going to be a normal, very good, great climb performance. Very, very, very smoothly, we'll just get out of the situation. But in case we had both engine thrusts, those engines are so efficient, so powerful, And once, if we had the complete thrust, complete control with him, I'm 100% sure with the required pitch attitude of about 6 degrees and full thrust, he would have come out of the situation. Not that he wouldn't have descended. He wouldn't have climbed as the aircraft climbs, but he would have come out of the situation even with the gear down, even with the flaps up. So that's why I was pretty sure there is something wrong with the thrust. So that's what in the Mayday call you can see the captain saying, no thrust or no power. I don't know what word he used, no thrust or no power. I'm sure he would have used no thrust. That's what we use as pilots. So no thrust, that's a great indication. Later on, when you can see the ram air turbine out, we can hear you can hear it audibly now. So ram air turbines come out only when we have both engines issues, both engine power issues, or else severe electrical, all electrical failure, or a combination of hydraulics and electrical. That is also great it's a severe situation. So definitely there was multiple system failure with no thrust. At 600 feet, he had no other chance. He did what we were taught: fly straight, try and overcome the obstacles if possible. Try and land with your land in some kind of field, some kind of open area, so that you can save maximum lives. You cannot save all in this situation. Try and save maximum lives, but he had no chance. He had to go down into a building, and he flew the aircraft till the last second. And that hats off to Captain Sabharwal.
No, truly hats off. I mean, it's incredible because you could see that he was aviating till the very end. Sanjay, who gains from this narrative of pilot error? Very quickly, I'll try and pack in two more questions. But who, in your view, gains from this narrative of pilot error?
Let me reverse it. Reverse the question. Let's say it is pointed out that it is a twin engine failure catastrophic engine failure due to electrical failure. The manufacturer is the biggest loser. 1175 aircraft flying around the world. I mean, I know Air India's maintenance is very strong. The engineering is strong. If there's something technically wrong with the system, it's curtains, it's Boeing. And it beats me why foreign pilots have suddenly come. Don't we have Indian experts?
Yeah.
Don't we have Indian aviators? They're on every TV channel, barring yours, that is. And I was shocked that, you've got these TikTokers spreading this nonsense. It really pissed me off, sorry. But, it was disgusting. And that's what I see. And that's why I want the earliest possible preliminary report to be released. That's another thing. We saw random fake preliminary reports being released on WhatsApp and circulated from Canada, from Australia. People all over the world know more about our aircraft than we know in India. Ridiculous, crazy. And they're all attacking, whether it's Air India or our pilot or our crew, absolutely undone. Whether it's our captains, 2 captains, or the 10 cabin crew, they've done their job valiantly, and they've sacrificed their lives in the line of duty here. We need to understand.
And I don't want to exaggerate things, and there's a great deal of professional respect in the aviation world. But I don't think I am too far out to suggest that there is also a subtle amount of the West being a little patronizing, being a little racist as far as India is concerned, saying, let's paint this as a bunch of unprofessional crews who have messed up and screwed up an aircraft, and therefore we can put the blame on them instead of highlighting larger questions. Captain Rautre, in your view, do you agree with that? Who gains from this narrative of pilot error?
All I can say is, whoever, even if the companies want to get away, Boeing wants to get away, or they just want a hush-push investigation, put it on somebody else's shoulder or on somebody's head. Fine, do what you want to do. But out of this, even if you put it on the pilot, the responsibility as a commander, captain, is on my shoulders. My passengers have lost their lives, so I don't mind being hanged. Fine. I've been taught not even one scratch should be there, not in a second of unsafety to my passengers or to whoever, whatever lives when I'm around as a commander. But out of this, let it be whatever you do, whatever has happened after the investigation. Flying is going to get safer. Ultimately, whatever is it, even if it's an engineering technical issue, you want to put it on Captain Sabharwal, fine. But Captain Sabharwal or people like me won't hesitate to sacrifice ourselves in case safety is enhanced after the inquiry. So you want to bury me, you want to hang me, you hang all the pilots, but do a proper investigation. Let us know whatever the truth is. Don't hide the investigation. Keep it transparent. Let the environment get more safer. let the procedures enhance after this. Let the engineering technicians, whoever worked it, in case they made a mistake, in case the refueling guys made some mistake, any kind of impurities in the fuel, whatever it is, don't mind. I don't mind. Just let me know whatever it is, and we want to keep the skies safer, our passengers safer, and in the process, if the pilots have been hanged, it's okay, fine.
Captain Rautre and Sanjay Lazar, I know this is an emotional time for you. You knew Captain Sabharwal well, and I'd like to thank you for your time. And again, I want to end this segment by saying that this is the reason why it's important not to jump the gun and to wait for an investigation rather than these piecemeal opinions that can only serve larger vested interests. Thank you to the both of you for being so candid and honest here on this show. But remember that with Air India Flight 171 gone, there are images and stories that are still coming out. NDTV has accessed 2 new videos never seen before of the immediate seconds after the aircraft plowed into that medical college hostel in Ahmedabad. These are heartbreaking pictures. Watch these.
Crash, inferno, cries, chaos. 2 new videos of the moment of the Air India plane crash, amplifying the horror of the accident that left 275 dead, both on board and on ground. A wailing, desperate mother running around to save her son. In the next video, the lone survivor of the crash, Vishwas, seen walking out of the cloud of smoke and roaring flames in a white t-shirt, injured. As the plane came crashing down, turning into a ball of fire, 40-year-old Sita ran around, crying in desperation to look for her 15-year-old son, Akash. Sita ran a tea stall near the crash site. Akash had stepped out to deliver tiffin to his mother at the stall when the tragedy struck. In a heart-wrenching moment, Akash's mother risked her own life in an attempt to save her son, but tragically, she couldn't. Akash died in the crash. The same video from a different angle captured the lone survivor, Vishwas, limping out of the jaws of death. Here again Sita is seen, crying in desperation. Sita and Vishwas, 2 ends of the horrific tragedy, losing her beloved son, the other defeating death. An NDTV Bureau report.